if anyone's wondering why I'm just wearing shades indoors, it's because I'm saluting the true king of Miami, Colby Chaos Covington, for his main event win on Saturday night. But no, I mean, I'm just embracing the heel persona. I mean, I've been saying this for 3 years that Colby Covington would probably do this to Jorge Masvidal if they fought. And, I mean, in the end, I was proven right, thankfully.
Yep.
I had a lot riding on this. My opinions were known by a lot of people. And if Colby would have gotten knocked out or something, that would have been pretty bad. but no, I mean, like I said, I figured that Colby's wrestling would reign supreme, and that's exactly what happened. But I want to start off just by talking about his mat wrestling in particular. Like, when he's already on top of guys, the transitions that he has are just so incredible. Like, he had one scramble in particular that I enjoyed when Masvidal he pretty much changed the position for like the only time in the fight and got on top of Colby, and Colby immediately just switched it and got back on top of him, turned the corner, and was immediately back on his back. But yeah, you get what I mean. But I don't know, man. Do you have any thoughts that you want to start off with?
World class stuff, dude. I mean, you say 3 years in the making, like you saw this coming, like, you know, from that far out, and like now that it actually like happens, culminates, and like obviously like result wise, and then even like the fight like plays like exact how it does. It's not like it's easy to be like, you know. Like, we're gonna talk about Colby and like talk more about Colby and like what's next for him and whatnot. But I mean, at least me personally, like Jorge Masvidal, like
he exceeded expectations. That's for sure. I mean, I didn't expect him to have as many moments as he had. Like, you know, you had the one knockdown. That was pretty good in round 4. I mean,
clean.
Yeah, it was a clean hook that he got him with. It was like, and it was going away too. Like, you could tell it was just like an instinctual counter, and he got it just clean across the chin, turned him completely around. But I mean, ultimately, it didn't do much because Colby ended up popping back up, and that's why I kind of like I didn't give Masvidal the round, even though some people did.
There's just nothing Jorge can do on the ground with him.
Yeah,
it's
clearly.
Just like a complete just.
You just one step ahead every time. Yeah. 2 steps ahead, probably, honestly. 1 is being generous. But I don't know. I mean, I had that as a clean 50-45, even with that little knockdown, just because Colby ended up dominating the rest of that round. But I know some people, they gave him round 2, but, you know, we missed some of that in our first watching of the fight live because ESPN decided to screw us and give us some technical difficulties. You know, you try and support the fighters and fighter pay. You buy the pay-per-view. Hopefully you get a few more dollars in somebody's pocket who deserves it. But ESPN decides to make you pay for it instead by just making the broadcast have some technical difficulties. But hey, we didn't miss much. You know, me and Tiz, we're not stupid. We pretty much immediately were like, let's go to the Spanish version. And that's exactly what we did. We didn't understand a single word of what they said, but we went to the Spanish version. We got most of the second round. Probably only missed like 45 seconds of it.
Yeah, no more.
And that was like right when it was like a low blow, I think. And they gave Jorge like some time. So we didn't really miss too much, thankfully.
Jorge there were a few, like,
there were eye pokes, yeah. The dirty fight. I like that, though, for 2 guys that hate each other as much as those guys did. And I don't think I don't think it was fake.
No, it was not like, there was, like, I could understand, like, speculation and whatnot.
Especially because of Colby, because Colby's, like, a big WWE nut like that, and, like, he's, you know, the stereotypical
No, that was,
heel.
that beef is very real.
Yeah, I think it's for real,
like,
especially after the fight.
You would think, like, you know, typically after, like, a fight, you could, like,
there's some mutual respect there.
Yeah, like,
not
after this one. It was
that final few seconds, you could really see it because Colby. I remember
Colby was trying.
He took his back a little bit. He had like one hook in. He was just trying to put him in a neck crank, and you could see he was saying something to him as he was doing that. And he just went to mount, and in those last few seconds, he just postured up and just rained down punches. Like, you could tell that was probably there was some anger behind that. Like, you could tell he wanted to hurt him there. Mm-hmm. But, you know, in the end, it's got to be frustrating for Masvidal to just get beat like that by a guy who you can't stand. But like I said, just Colby's wrestling is on another level compared to Masvidal's. You know, you got D1 experience. Colby's been wrestling probably since he was in age, like single digits. And Masvidal, he's training with great guys like Bo Nickel, but it's not going to amount to anything in the long run because Colby's wrestling is already just on another level due to the experience alone. And that was just showcased in this fight just by all the transitions and the little things that he did. But, I mean, after the fight, though, it was pretty interesting. They were still talking. I love that. But then Colby had an interesting calling out Dustin Poirier. I mean, I don't think we see that fight. I don't think Dustin takes it.
Yeah, like, you'll have your call-outs where it's like... I don't even really want to even see that fight, and then you'll have...
Remember when Michel Pereira, he called out Jorge Masvidal after he had that win after the DQ, Diego Sanchez? Like, that's like one of those fights I was like, yeah, man, you just beat like another guy and you're trying to fight at the time, the number like 3 guy in the world. Like, let's pump the brakes a little bit, but... I mean, it's a cool call-out. It's not that I wouldn't want to see that fight.
It's a really cool call-out.
It's like, I don't see it happening. Like, that's just what it is. Not practical. I think Dustin knows that, like, that's a risky fight to take, especially after seeing what he just did to Masvidal, you know? Like, I think that fight is more of the same, honestly.
Yeah, a loss for Dustin there would not be good.
Yeah, you don't want that especially after
Colby
the title
Covington.
Loss. Yeah, a guy you can't stand. Oh, my God. Like, it's just... And, like, I want to go back to that, too. Like, just how much these fighters, like, they just hate Colby. And, like, he's crossing the line. I get it. Like, it's messed up. And, like, Conor did that when he fought Khabib. And nobody seemed to care then. But, besides the point. But, you're watching a fist fight. Like, and you're offended by what this guy says. Like, I get that it's mean and, like, it's not right and you shouldn't bring up people's families. I agree with the people who say that. And I'm not even saying you have to like it, but, like, to have an actual problem with it is kind of hypocritical when you're watching dudes literally, and girls, beating the crap out of each other every Saturday. Like, I just don't see that. Like, if words are going to hurt you, I think you're into the wrong sport. But because of that, though, I don't think that Dustin even wants to go through another camp that's just so toxic. Because, like, that third Conor fight was just such a toxic environment. And Conor was crossing those lines. And Colby, he's just going to push it that much further. He's already bringing up his kids. And, like... I don't think Dustin wants that. In and out of the octagon. It's just a lot, because... like I said, I think Colby does the same thing to Dustin. What do you think?
Oh yeah, Colby does the same thing to Dustin and amplifies it. Takes it up a few notches, like, because he.
Well, I'm not even talking about the trash talk. I'm talking about, like, the actual fight itself. Like, I see Colby just pretty much having a similar performance to what he did to Masvidal. Just his wrestling is just relentless. Like, and that just shows.
Why not? Maybe you get.
I think there's more of a, like, maybe, like, Dustin could pull off, like, a quick guillotine or something, but even that, against a guy like Colby, it's hard to do. Like, Woodley tried that a couple times, I know, because Woodley's got a nasty guillotine himself.
I mean, I think with Dustin, like, he could probably definitely, like, stuff more takedowns and whatnot.
I don't even know, honestly. But who knows, man? That's an interesting fight.
And that just goes to, like, how just, like, much of, like, how elite, like, Colby Covington, like, is at this.
Yeah. I think it's Usman and Colby, like, at that top level, and then it's everybody else, except Hamzat, maybe. That Gilbert Burns fight's going to prove or disprove it, but I think it's going to prove it, honestly.
Still a TBD.
Yeah, but we'll see. I mean, everybody who trains with Hamzat, they all say that this dude is for real. Like, the only question right now is his cardio. And they're all saying, don't worry about that. So, I don't know. I mean, like I said, Gilbert Burns is a true test because, like, he's probably going to have to stand with Gilbert Burns a lot. I don't know if he takes him down and just ragdolls him, chokes him out, or TKOs him, it's over. If he's going to do that to Gilbert Burns, who is a, like, great jiu-jitsu black belt. Like, there's a lot of jiu-jitsu black belts who are just, like, average black belts, but Gilbert Burns is, like, competing in real grappling tournaments and winning. So if Hamzat can ragdoll a guy like Gilbert Burns, which I'm not saying he will, I mean, you never know, but I don't think this is just hype.
Yeah.
You know, I believe in this.
At first, like maybe. At first, like I know there was a lot like, oh, this guy hasn't, he hasn't fought anybody yet and all that.
But then
like, he's just a highlight. And now it's like
that Li Jingliang win was something. Like, to pick a guy up who is not that bad. Like, I figured that Khamzat would do that to him, but that's because I believe in the hype. Like, but Li Jingliang, he's a great striker. He's very powerful. Khamzat picked him up, walked over to Dana White, like, by his side of the octagon, and said something to him, and then threw him down. Like, that's crazy just how good his grappling is. And you hear things that, like, these inhuman type stories about him, like how he just has cardio for days. He's good on the feet, insanely good on the ground. But I think we're more likely to see Colby fight the winner of him versus Burns than I think Dustin Poirier. But either of those fights are good. I think.
Man, I would be seriously, I would be down to see either. Don't get me wrong. And I'm a huge Gilbert Burns fan, and you know that. But I'm like, I feel like
that fight might be even better.
I don't think not only would there not be a better time for Khamzat and Colby, but I don't think there would be another time, like, period, for that fight to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Unless Usman walk away after he gets starched by Canelo, if he actually wants
Khamzat's trajectory.
I'm glad
to bring it up.
You should laugh about that. That's ridiculous. Him calling out, I can't get over that. Him calling out Canelo. Like, I get you want some money, but dude, not smart. Let's stick to MMA. He's got to fight Leon, and then we'll see how the division shakes up after that. But
I feel like it's just with Khamzat's trajectory, it's just like, how does he go down from here right now? And it's like,
I just don't see it. Like,
who's
out grappling that guy besides maybe Gilbert?
If he does take this one loss, and like, I don't know, I don't really see, like, I think this is like the time for Colby Covington and Khamzat to, like, finally cross paths.
I mean, though, if Khamzat does lose to Gilbert, I'm always down to see Colby versus Gilbert too. I've been wanting to see that fight for a while, just because there's so many trade-offs.
Either way, you can't really go wrong. That's just goes to how absolutely stacked welterweight is.
Yeah.
What a guy! What a talent! What a talented division, dude.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens though with it. I mean, because Colby, like I said, he called out Dustin. I don't see that happening. And if he gets the winner of Khamzat versus Burns, I mean, I do think Khamzat is a better wrestler than Colby, but the cardio, obviously, people say things and I believe it, but technically we haven't seen it in the octagon, and until we do, it's unproven. But Gilbert and Colby, I want to talk about that a tiny bit. The thought of that fight is interesting because the reason why Colby's striking is so effective is because of the threat of his takedowns. But against Gilbert Burns, you can't get reckless with the amount of takedowns you're throwing. So Colby's going to have to stand with him, just like Khamzat might have to stand with him. And if that happens, I'm curious to see if Gilbert's boxing can actually, like, stop Colby. But then again, like, while Gilbert's stand-up is a lot better than Colby's, Gilbert fades as the fight goes on, and Colby definitely does not fade as the fight goes on. His pace is just something different. He's going to be in Gilbert's face, and I don't know if Gilbert's going to be able to take him down. I think he'll try if they do fight, but that, like you said, the welterweight division is just so good. We got Luke Gavert fighting Bilal pretty soon, and besides that, you still have Wonder Boy, Sean Brady, Chiesa, who Brady just beat, but man, that division is just so good. But anyway, I mean, I think we talked a lot about where Colby could go from here, but where does Masvidal go from here? I mean, that's more of a question mark if you ask me.
I mean, like, I think, like, you keep giving him, I think you can keep giving him, like, the money fights, like this one, for instance, but, like, with a guy that he can actually, like, realistically, like, beat at this point in time.
Not another grappler, like we were saying, like, not another guy who's going to overwhelm him, like Usman, Colby, Damian Maia, back when that happened. But he's another guy who's going to strike with him, make it a fun fight.
Like, Jorge Masvidal could lose, like, 10 fights in a row, and he'll still be one of the most popular and marketable fighters that the UFC has. And, like, obviously with those guys, like,
yeah, I mean,
you can do...
He's very famous. Like, got, like I said, Drake betting $275,000 on him. He clearly doesn't watch MMA. If he's betting 20,
he's probably just boys with Masvidal in some way.
Masvidal, I saw Masvidal said, "I got you with dinner next time in Miami. Next time you're in Miami." I'm like, I don't think Drake wants to see you after that, bro. I don't know if he might not want to take you up on that. He might need a little time.
Bro. I'm good.
I just can't believe it. Dude, you see Colby too? Colby goes, "Yeah, Drake sucks at sports betting, man. You should stick to making his shitty rap albums." He's like, I love it. Like, people hate Colby so much, but I love it, man. It's just so entertaining to me. That's why I'm glad he won this fight, because I knew if he won, we'd get some good moments, and of course we did. But back to Masvidal, man, like, I'm not sure, he's getting a little older. And I think you can kind of see it.
That's the other thing. Like,
yes.
he's clearly on a decline right now. And I mean, for the fighter that he is, though, like, so strike. I don't think, like, that's really, like, sure, maybe it's regressed a little bit, but he's, as far as I'm concerned,
he's still crafty.
Exactly, he's still extremely crafty, innovative, and just, like,
he's got that power still. Like, he does have that knockout power, and I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of guys you could give him. I think the best course of action for him personally is to wait, because you got all these big welterweight fights coming up with, like we said, Hamzat and Burns, and then you got the main event with Luque and Muhammad. But I don't know. I mean, if he really wants to be active, he could maybe fight the rematch with Wonder Boy. That'd be a good fight. I know Wonder Boy is game for that. But I mean,
I think that makes sense.
I would just wait. I would wait. Because, a lot of big fights are going to happen, and there's a lot of moving
also with Masvidal, like, he doesn't, like, that's his team that is handling, like, who he fights next and whatnot.
That's true. He did say that. Yeah, I mean,
so
you got to think about it from their perspective, too. They got to be thinking what we're thinking. Like, let's get
I would hope
that it's not going to just expose bad, like, not even bad. Like I said, I don't even want to think, like, I don't even want people to think we think that Masvidal has bad wrestling. He doesn't have bad wrestling. You could see it. Like, he was defending takedowns from Colby. It's just the pace that Colby was putting on that was really the difference maker.
And then this fight that just happened, Colby and Masvidal, like, I don't even think, unless, like, it's for, like, okay, these two guys are, who's fighting for the belt next, and that's what that fight's for. I don't think that fight even, like, it literally just, not a non-title fight. Like,
yeah,
just
it's a good grudge match. You always
exactly.
love it.
The story, everything, the narrative behind it, like,
that's what's key.
Especially and like you said, like Masvidal, the name, like, in the fight as well. Like, it's gonna sell. Like, it's pay-per-view.
He's getting on Colby about. He's like, sell that pay-per-view for me. I was like, oh god. I was like, Colby should not have said that he didn't take any pay-per-view points publicly. But I guess that doesn't really matter now, considering what happened. I'd be a lot happier with the win in that case, especially if you hate the guy like that. But, man, that was just such a fun main event. Like, I enjoyed it. Like, a lot of people, hate on Colby, and they're saying, oh, it's a boring fight. And then in the next breath, they're praising Bryce Mitchell, who pretty much won in the exact same way. It's just, like I said, I've been saying this the whole time we've been on, just the difference between that, I'll never get it. Like, it's just so it's so hypocritical.
It's just a typical sports media agenda. Like,
they don't want to like Colby. They don't like people who say controversial things, and I get it, but it is what it is. But I guess that's all that we really need to cover for the main event. Like I said, just impressive wrestling by Colby, the mat wrestling in particular, just the transitions while he was already on top to maintain control. Just so incredible, and like I said, him and Usman are just at the top. Clearly.
Yeah, man, that's just. You think about, like, this is a thought for later, but you think just how stacked, you don't think about how stacked already that 170 is, and then, like, you literally have two guys that are literally the cream of the crop.
Yeah,
like,
it's nuts. Like,
they are this division.
I think there's so much, like, excitement in the welterweight division. Like, there's a lot of, like, fun fighters and interesting people. Like, I just think it makes for so much excitement, like, around all these fights and around the top 10, like, of that division. And, now you got these new guys breaking in, like Hamzat, and I mentioned Sean Brady, too, before. He's not to be slept on. I know he's recovering from, I think, an injury right now, but when he comes back, that's another guy who's going to be a force.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, like, that main event just shows how stacked that division is just by how excited we all were.
Yep. But we've seen like multiple welterweight main events like over the course of the past year, just been amazing. So.
Yeah, I mean, even like a couple months ago, like Usman Covington too, like that was an awesome fight, and
Usman
like
Covington too.
Man, I just love it. That whole division's exciting right now, even with the dominance that Usman shows, which just shows how great he is, by the way. But man, like I said, just a great main event, great performance by Colby. But speaking of great performances, might as well move on to the co-main with RDA, man. What a clinic he put on Renato Moicano. But, you know, we'll get to that. But we got to start with the heart that Renato Moicano showed.
Yeah, I mean, that is pretty, like, incredible. Like, just not even just the fight itself. Like, the week, you know, taking this on 4 days notice.
And it's not like he was in, like, you know, in the country. This guy's in Brazil. They had to fly him in from another country to come on this short notice.
Exactly. He has one fight, goes back home, and then comes back.
And then 5 rounds. Not even a 3-round fight.
That is just nuts.
And he's game for it. I love it. Came out, guns blazing. Like, you could tell he wanted to give
Exactly. And then we actually get into the fight, and it's like, oh my God. Like, you know, we'll just fast forward real quick to all the way to the end. Like, this guy...
Yeah, even after all the damage.
Eye, which was just nasty.
Yeah.
And then just obviously RDA's freaking ground control, which is just unbelievable.
A lot like Colby in the sense that he has that smothering top presence. Like, he doesn't let you breathe when you're there. And
that's going to take a toll on you.
I just do want to say, though, that Moicano, though, like, he's so great on the ground, like, especially off his back, like, with his jiu-jitsu. That just shows how good RDA is to be able to hold him down and keep him there and cause so much damage. And RDA usually, he doesn't really create as much damage as like other fighters. Like, he's more content to pass guard and like really have his control. And he has, I know, like a few arm triangles.
That was vintage. Yeah,
great fight
in that fight.
Great fight.
But Moicano, like, you know, like this guy that like really has like nothing to lose here, and it's like, let's just take it to RDA and just.
And he tried. He definitely tried. Like, in that first round, he came after him, but then, like,
RDA man,
was just
crazy.
Great
it's like
timing on his takedowns. That's what it is.
Away. It's like, you think RDA has him down, and then literally, like,
at the end, that fifth round, he won the fifth. I had that 49-46. He won the fifth round. Like, RDA did get a takedown, but, like, on the feet, and honestly, throughout the whole fight, like, I think that this might have to do with RDA getting a little older, but Renato Moicano, even taking all that damage, was the faster fighter on the feet. Like, he was landing shots on RDA.
Oh, hands down.
But, man, that's what I'm saying. It's just, like, again, just back to his heart. Like, because of that. Like, you know, you're getting damage like that. His eyes almost shut.
The veteran savvy, the technique, just all of it. Like, it just... Yeah. It all just comes into one, and just another W in the legendary career of...
No, yeah, RDA is the man. So underrated. Like, this guy's beaten everybody. He's got wins over, like, literally, he's beaten Robbie Lawler. He's beaten, didn't he beat, who did he beat at 155? I'm thinking of Benson Henderson. He beat Benson Henderson, Donald Cerrone twice, Anthony Pettis for the title. Back when Anthony Pettis was, like, getting people with all those crazy kicks and all that. But RDA is truly just a legend of the game, and I just, like you said, just a vintage performance by him.
It's like, you know, it's easy to look at Moicano as a guy who's obviously stepping into the fight and as a replacement, but, like,
RDA's taking that fight on short notice.
Off camera, you were like, and he's, you know, RDA's taking this on short notice too. Like, he's expecting to fight a completely different.
Yeah, Fiziev is like a complete. He's a striker. Like, his grappling. That's not even. His mind was not in the grappling. That's 100% like the case. But Moicano, like I said, he's a jiu-jitsu specialist at heart. And like I also said before, RDA just being able to smother that and like completely take those weapons away, that's incredible.
That's like a fight. Like, you take a casual fan, like, you ever seen an RDA? You ever see a Rafael dos Anjos fight? And like, no. I'm like, okay, this is how it goes. When you can just take
even like the high kick too, because like he has a great high kick and like he doesn't really throw it too much, but when he does and he lands it, man, like it's always. And he dropped him. It was the third round. He dropped him with that, and that was like almost the beginning of the end. Like, that fight was almost stopped after round 3, and then
literally 30 seconds. Yeah, Mark are literally saying to
at the start of round 5.
You got 30 seconds to turn this fight around.
Yeah, great refereeing by him to give him a shot, and obviously, like I said, after that he proved why he deserved to stay in the fight by winning.
No, yeah, as a fighter, like you have to just be like, because like he's at the same time Mark Carter, like he's giving you the chance to like get back in this fight. Well, not you're obviously like you're losing, obviously,
but he's protecting you.
He's protecting you as well. And as a fighter, you just be like you're the fucking man. Like, thank you. Like,
yeah, this guy is
30 seconds. I just feel like these are the last 30 seconds of your life, and I mean,
he proves you could see it too. That Mark Carter was so focused on him. Like you could see his eyes were locked on Moicano, and then Moicano was really tagging him in the beginning, and you could see RDA was kind of starting to get on the back foot, and Mark Goddard was like, okay, like he showed me. He showed me he has a chance here, but I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of just damage taken, which sucks, but just honestly, a great performance by both guys in very different ways. Like, I think RDA, like, just in the win, just had a great performance, great top pressure, and just, like you said, a vintage RDA fight. But then Moicano just in a whole different way.
That was seriously
performance. Like his heart to just keep going after all that damage. I can't say enough just how much I respect that, and I'm sure the UFC agrees with me, and they're gonna give him just probably another nice opponent next. Hopefully after a decently long night off, but
you have to. Obviously, like him just taking the fights, like this is a huge opportunity.
Yeah, like you said, there was no like losing really. Like
there was.
He won a lot of respect with that fight. I guarantee that.
I'm a big Moicano fan after that for sure.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
So I really hope they treat him right and he gets a money fight.
Yeah, but then you got RDA. He called out Masvidal at first, but then he kind of took it back sort of in the post-fight, like the press conference. Mm-hmm. And I like the call out that he gave, and this is where I think the UFC should go with this. He called out Conor McGregor. And, they have history. They were supposed to fight, obviously, at UFC 196, but then RDA broke his foot and stepped Nate Diaz, and we all know what happened there. But, him and Conor have real history and a real beef because... at UFC 264, if you remember, they almost got into the brawl at the weigh-in. Oh, yeah. So, like, there's a real beef there. There's some room for promotion, and I think that's a good fight for both guys because...
And it's like, it just makes so much sense for, like, the spot Conor's in right now, too, in the division.
Yeah, like
this is...
Because he keeps saying he's going to come back to a title shot, and honestly, I would not be surprised with the UFC, but... If not, if he fights RDA and gets a win, I could see them pushing him after that.
Yeah, and I don't see why this would be a situation much different from when he fought Cowboy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't. I think RDA is a tough fight for Conor.
No. I'm saying it in the sense like give Conor a name, but like.
I don't know what you're saying, honestly, because I think RDA is I think RDA would beat Conor if they fought, but I just think in terms of like actually getting the bout agreement signed, I think that's just an interesting matchup for both guys because probably Conor wants to fight RDA to prove that he's better than him.
That's the thing. I don't know. Like, who knows what the hell Conor wants like these days? You literally just said it. Like, he's expecting to come back straight to a title shot. Like. Come on,
I'll be right back for my title fight. I love it though. I love that he just trolls. He knows too. Like he just trolls everybody by saying things like that. Even if he doesn't believe it, like he just knows that everybody's gonna get pissed off. Oh, he doesn't deserve a title shot, and then obviously they're gonna talk about it like we're talking about it. But I mean, we're not Conor haters. But man, I would love to see him versus RDA, and I thought that was just a great call out by him. And, RDA ain't getting any younger. So, I mean, I want to see that fight. I mean, hopefully as soon as Conor's healthy, they can get that one booked. I don't want to see him in a title fight just yet. The top of the lightweight division is already kind of log-jammed because you have Oliveira fighting Gaethje. And then Islam and Dariush are probably going to fight down the line. So that's another pair of top contenders. You're skipping all those guys to give Conor McGregor a title shot off of a couple losses. I don't agree with that. I think an RDA fight is perfect for both guys because if RDA wins, that boosts his profile tremendously, and that gives him a case for a title shot. So I thought it was just a smart move, and I hope that that's the direction that they go in. But moving on from there, touched on this tiny bit before when I was talking about Colby, but Bryce Mitchell, man, great performance by him. Yeah. Awesome wrestling. The timing on his takedowns, I was really impressed by that. He would always catch Edson Barboza in like a perfect position to just grab him. And once he grabbed the hold of Edson, it was just...
Yeah, it's crazy. How much of a timing thing it is like you obviously can't just like, all right, I'm going for the takedown. You can just...
Yeah, because you're going to get stuffed. And Edson's like... This is the thing, because like people... like sleep on Edson's grappling, not like in terms of like his bottom game, but like his takedown defense. Like if you go back and watch the Khabib fight, there's like moments in that fight where Khabib like is like really trying hard to get a takedown and can't. And obviously we know how that fight went, but still like to have a guy like Khabib struggling to get a takedown and then for Bryce Mitchell to just get it with ease, that's like incredible. It says a lot about how good of a grappler he is and for that division.
No, yeah, he's gonna be a problem, dude. Like I'm pretty excited for like the outlook of Bryce Mitchell. Like I really do think
I think you have to stick him in a main event next. I think he's earned it at this point. And I don't know if you
that's a guy like they should like want to market and
yeah, everybody likes this dude. He's such like a down to earth guy.
Yeah.
But I think you don't really give him a guy like Giga because although that's on that same level, Giga is a striker and he just passed that test. So I'd want to see him against another grappler. What do you think?
I'd be okay with, like you said, we practically just saw it with against Edson Barboza, but then
I'm not mad at it.
You'll also have Barboza's like on the decline or whatever, and you'll have that crowd, and so it's like, if you want to give him another, I don't mind giving him another striker. And
that's the level that he should go at though, like that top 5 to 7 range.
And if they put him in, if they're gonna put him in a main event, then there probably is another striker that they're gonna give him.
Yeah, just like featherweight like all these divisions like right now in the UFC, like between like 135 and 170 are just so stacked with talent. But at 145, I think that Bryce Mitchell, if you want to give him a grappler, you can maybe give him Josh Emmett, or maybe this is a big step, but I would be down to see it, him versus Calvin Kattar. Because Calvin, he's obviously a really good striker, but he's also really well-rounded. He has good takedown defense. He's not bad off his back. He's good at getting back to his feet or transitioning to get on top. But I don't know. What direction would you go in if you were the matchmakers? Like, do you agree with me or you think another direction?
I think a Kattar, you just, once again, talking about the main event, like, if you give him a Kattar fight, like, that's a main event fight, like,
exactly.
Easily. And
I'd love to see that 5 rounds.
Whereas the Josh Emmett, you give him a Josh Emmett fight, that's like, I think you should still put that on a pay-per-view, but...
Yeah, Emmett's definitely not as big of a name, I guess, right now as Calvin Kattar, and it sucks too. That's because of injury. It's not even its own fault.
Yeah, I don't see that. I don't see that like headlining, and I don't see it's just like the UFC just not wanting to do that probably just.
I think the last time Josh Emmett headlined an event might have been when he lost to Jeremy Stevens, and I don't even know what year that was. That was a long time ago. And that was a bad loss too. He broke a bunch of bones in Emmett's face. That's what I'm saying. Emmett, it sucks because he had a lot of great wins, but he has a lot of injuries, and I feel like that's why people sleep on him so much. Which is selfishly, that's kind of why I want to see him versus Bryce Mitchell, because I think it'll answer a lot of questions about Bryce. But also on the other hand, if Josh Emmett does get the better of him, people start to recognize how good he is again, because he just beat Dan Ige. Mm-hmm. That's no slouch either. But anyway, just back to Bryce Mitchell. Just like we were saying, a fantastic display of grappling in that fight.
Truly. To
just dominate Edson Barboza on the ground like that. And honestly, even like I was saying with Colby, it's kind of because of the threat of the takedown, but he dropped him in the first round with that 1-2. That was pretty nice. I wasn't expecting that. That was pretty cool. Nice moment there by Thug Nasty. You listen to his rap tapes, by the way? As a rap aficionado, I swear.
I've probably heard a clip.
I'm not putting up an act here, even though I'm embracing my heel persona with the sunglasses like Colby. But his rap songs are honestly they're pretty good. I'll give him credit. Like Tyron Woodley isn't that great of a rapper.
I'll listen to some Thug Nasty for sure.
You might have to. I might have to ask you about this next pod. I need to know your thoughts because you're also a former famous rapper, but we'll get into that another day.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, back to Bryce Mitchell. But I'd like to see him in a main event next, or just another high profile fight like this one. But back to the rest of the card. Kevin Holland, his welterweight debut. That was an interesting fight, honestly, because you start off with the first round.
Yeah, for a 2-round fight, for sure.
Because, honestly, I remember we were talking about it before the fight started. I figured that Kevin Holland was going to spark Oliveira, considering, what Oliveira's past few fights had looked like. But in the first round, I think it's because, partially because of nerves, but then the other thing is I think Kevin Holland could do a better job at utilizing his reach, at welterweight especially. He's 6'3" with a huge reach advantage. There's no reason why you should be lunging forward trying to get hooks, because for a longer guy, especially if you think about it when you're throwing a jab, it takes you longer to bring your arm back. So if you're already lunging out of position, it's gonna leave you open to get hit, and that's what Oliveira was doing to him throughout the whole first round. And then, obviously, the adjustment in the second round proved to be great.
Yeah, Oliveira literally had him in a hold, at the end of the first round.
And how cool is Kevin Holland with the thumbs up? He's got literally an arm around his neck. He's just yeah, I'm good.
That's how he knows. He's just the round's about to end. Please don't. I'm fine.
It's Bryce Mitchell. You could tell why the UFC loves that guy. And Kevin Holland, too. He's just so entertaining, and you look at the finish in the second round too.
Exactly, round 2. He put it all together.
Yeah,
ground and pound from
but even before that, that hook that he hit him with was so clean, on the counter, in just one of those what's the word? Just an exchange on the feet, just bing right to the chin, and then he just went down like a ton of bricks, and then that ground and pound man was vicious. And you could tell that fight was going to end because Oliveira was just curled up in a ball. But
so yeah, in the end, Kevin Holland did what he needed to do. But there's still a lot of questions to be answered.
His grappling is still a weakness. It's not like Masvidal, who has decent takedown defense. Kevin Holland's takedown defense definitely needs a lot of work, because Cowboy Oliveira is not known for his top control, really. He's known to knock you out on the feet and maybe control you from there. But, he had some nice grappling moments in that fight. He had Kevin Holland's back, we were saying, at the end of the first round. And, to have a guy like Oliveira, who's fought a lot of guys and he's starting to probably be on the downtrend, if he's doing that to you, especially at welterweight, we were just talking about all those guys at the top, Colby, Usman, Hamzat. And if he's going to get there, and that's going to keep happening to him, it's just going to be the same story as it was at middleweight. What do you think? Do you think that he should be pushed fast, or do you think that he should be pushed a little slowly? Because I think he should be pushed kind of slowly.
No, yeah, he definitely, because, at this point in time, Kevin Holland is, one of the more, popular, marketable names that the UFC has, and it's, now you take this weight, this weight cut, this weight change for him, obviously not his natural weight class.
Well, kind of, in a way, though, it kind of is, because, I remember he was talking, he said that, he was yeah, I used to bulk up to get to middleweight. He says he walks around at, 180, so 170 is not even, a crazy weight cut for him.
Because we were talking about the reach, he's going to have a reach advantage over pretty much, everybody.
Yeah, but, he's got to use it, and I think, like I said, round 2 he made a good adjustment, but that grappling definitely needs some work.
No, I don't think, especially in this division, that you definitely don't push him. That's honestly what, he did during the pandemic era and all that in the Apex.
You could tell they rewarded him for that, too.
Yeah,
5
dude that just showed up.
Was it 5 fights in 1 year or 6? It was 5. I think it was 5.
It might have been 5, yeah.
But, yeah, either way, just because of that, they were going to thrust him into some main events, especially because he was piling up the wins.
Yeah, this is, a legitimate name.
I just hope that because of that, though, they don't fast-track him. Because at welterweight, that could be really dangerous.
Yeah, I don't think
we might be going down the same road.
I don't think that would be very, smart. logical.
Yeah, give him another striker. Like, there's so many logical. And there's another. Oh man, some people are gonna get that. But anyway, yeah. Back to what I was saying though. He. I think you just need to put him against another striker, because I think that's when you're gonna get the best out of him. And I think if you build him up at welterweight and you get him more confident and you give him the time to build up his grappling, it might be a little bit different when he hits the top. And, obviously today I definitely don't see him beating any of those top guys because of the wrestling. But, if he can improve, he definitely can up his chances. But I can see him doing well with any striker in that division, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I would hope, even him himself and his coaches, they're that was good, we won, but
we got work to do.
We're in a different, we're in a whole, this is a whole other, any weight change is a whole another ball game,
It's big too. You look at even Cody Garbrandt when he went to 125. It's not a small career choice, because most of the time when you're changing weight, it's because of lack of success in your original weight class. And Kevin Holland had some rough losses there.
Especially when you're going down, because generally, the pace is going to be a lot faster, and just, guys are...
At welterweight, the punches are coming faster, and I think that might have been another reason why he struggled in the first round. I think he might have been caught off guard by how fast Oliveira was.
Every division, has, their own, a style to it, I feel like.
And their own speed, which is worth noting. I feel like a lot of people who change weight classes maybe don't think of that as much as they should, but... Thankfully, it didn't really cost Kevin this time, because I think he realized and he made the adjustment, because he's such a smart fighter, and he gets in some bad exchanges sometimes and gets caught out of position. But if he can just refine his game and really just be the best Kevin Holland that he could be, I really think that he's a force in that division. But gotta up the wrestling. Just gotta up the wrestling, and I'm no D1 wrestler either, obviously, but. Hey, I mean, it doesn't take much to see that those top guys are gonna really just manhandle him on the ground.
He's still pretty young. There's plenty of room for improvement,
and there's plenty of matchups that you can give him at welterweight, in terms of strikers. But and then, after that fight, or should I say before that fight, you had Sergey Spivac and Greg Hardy. Not really too much to talk about there. I don't think we need to get too far into it.
Yeah,
but
your standard heavyweight bout.
Yeah.
With your standard heavyweight fighter and Greg Hardy.
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, it's just I think his athleticism has gotten him to where he is in the sport. It gives him a lot of power in his punches. He's very explosive, and don't get me wrong, he's a pretty good fighter. To be able to beat guys in the UFC as inexperienced as he was coming in, that's pretty good. But they were putting him against these top guys, and even before this fight, he's against Tai Tuivasa, who is now number 3 in the world.
Oh my
God. You got Greg Hardy going against these guys, and this is, I think, his 3rd straight first round loss. I don't know. I think that the UFC might end it after this, especially considering this was, I think, the last fight of his contract. But I don't know.
I don't.
Where do you
if
go?
You hold on to him, and it's you're giving him you're just putting. I guess you're just putting him in fights
fun fights maybe but
it's there's no trajectory at all.
The UFC is all about direction. If you don't have that upside, the UFC is not going to keep wasting money, as we can see as they cut all these people who were legends in the past couple of years. But with Greg Hardy, he already has that profile built up from when he was in the NFL. And to come to the UFC, I'm sure that he's getting paid a decent amount. And to constantly just be coming up short the way he's coming up short, he clearly just needs more experience. If he wants to go back to the regional circuit and build his game and actually make this a career, I think he can do it. It's just he's got to just go back a step before he comes back to the UFC. Which is crazy.
It's so wild to say, because he's been in UFC for longer than you would even think.
Yeah, the fact that he's lasted just shows how good of a fighter he really is. Just intangibles wise, he has power, that athleticism, I touched on, but he's one dimensional. And that cost him in this fight, because Sergey Spivac is
which
just
is
so good
okay, you're a heavyweight, it's better to be one-dimensional at heavyweight than it is at welterweight.
I don't know. I mean, nowadays though, with guys coming up, like you have Surreal Gone, Tom Aspinall, like you don't really want to be one dimensional in any division anymore. But I don't know. I just think he needs more experience. That's my one thing. I think he has the tools, but he needs the experience. But like I said, that fight, there wasn't much to it. Easy first round finish for Spivac. But onto the prelims. Well, we're not going to talk about all of them, but I figure we'll get into some of the interesting fights that have some consequences or that were just good fights. But one that I want to start with would be Marina Rodriguez versus... I'm not going to butcher her last name. I respect her too much. Jan. So that was an interesting fight. Honestly, going in, I might have felt a little biased just because Marina Rodriguez is cool. I'm a big fan of her style. Plus, every time I've posted about her on the Instagram, she's always liking the picture and she shows love in the DMs, which is cool, especially from the number 3 ranked strawweight in the world. But getting back to the fight, though, I didn't figure that Jan's footwork was going to play as much of a factor as it did, because like you got to think Marina Rodriguez, she has that strict like Muay Thai style, so she's only going back and forth most of the time, and Jan was using a lot of like boxing footwork and going like side to side and landing some nice counters from good angles, and Marina adjusted to that as the fight went on. I think that's why it ended up being so close, but I don't know. I mean, it wasn't her best performance. She got the win. It was close, but what did you think about it?
Yeah, I agree. Like, things start off a little sluggish and all, like, obviously the stoppage and all that, but...
oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
that was something.
Yeah, Joe Rogan, he's like, that makes me a little uncomfortable. I was like, I mean, yeah. that was a little... That sucks. You never want to see low blows, but... No. But, I don't know. It just seemed like her rhythm was off in the beginning of that fight, and Jan was tagging her, and obviously that doesn't help. But as the fight went on, like it was trending. It was trending in Marina's direction, though. Like probably midway to the end of the second round.
That's all you can really ask for too. At the end of the day, if the fight's gonna start like that, like okay, well, can we fix this up? And then as the fight goes on, and get the result, and she got the result. But
yeah, like I don't like that people are saying that it's a robbery either. I think it was a close. Like honestly, personally, like when I rewatched it, I scored it for Jan.
Yeah, I don't see the
I don't think it's a robbery though. I thought that fight was close enough.
It's a split decision.
Exactly. Like one of the judges had Jan winning. Like how much closer could you get? But I thought that could go either way.
I thought Jan did a really good. They was really smart of her to like use that elusiveness, move around. I
was very impressed by her. I'll get
Marina out of her comfort zone a little bit, and
because Marina has such good pressure, but she's not used to like just chasing people. But I think one of the things that might have helped, I think that Jan might have been getting a little tired as the fight went on too, and also obviously like I said, Marina's just a smart fighter, and she just made the adjustments, and even with the Muay Thai style, she kind of started moving a little bit sideways, albeit still like with that same high shell, walking forward. But round 3, was her round for sure, and like round 2 is where it comes into question. I gave it to Jan because Jan did really well in the beginning, plus she got the takedown, and I think that takedown was really what gave her the round.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm not mad at the result, especially because I like Marina too. And the UFC definitely does too, because Dana was saying afterwards that, after Carla and Rose, whenever that gets booked, hopefully soon, that needs to happen already, right? We talk about that real quick?
It's literally been talked about over this long. And
yeah, like, what are we doing here? Like, Carla literally has a win over Rose. There's a story there. I'd say we just got to get that rematch happening already, and then Marina can fight the winner of that. And Dana said that, but like I don't know what the hold-up's been, but we'll see. I mean, I think Marina deserves that next shot.
Yeah, the outlook of strawweight's actually looking not too bad.
Yeah,
I gotta say, between like Zhang Wei leading the Young Jacek rematch.
Yeah, they're probably fighting again. That's gonna be good. I mean, if it's anything like it was the first time, man, that's gonna be a great fight.
And up top with as far as
even Jan, just like she lost this fight, but it was a close fight, and she showed a lot of potential in this one.
Yeah.
And I think a next step for her, originally I figured that she might be able to fight Zhang Weili. I figured that would be an interesting one. But now that they're probably leaning in the rematch with Joanna, I think that maybe you put Jan against the winner of Mackenzie Dern and Tisha Torres. Pretty sure she hasn't fought either of them, but I might be wrong. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's just a logical next step to do that. And I don't really know who would win that fight. I mean, that's a good fight in itself, Tisha Torres versus Mackenzie Dern, because Tisha Torres is elusive.
Tisha Torres, man.
She's elusive, a lot like Jan. But so will Mackenzie be able to close the distance and take her down? That's the question. But
yeah, that's how Mackenzie's gonna get it done. Like that's how she's gotten to I'm pretty sure she's number 5 in the.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
She's incredible with that jiu-jitsu,
and then just to go back though to how talented Marina Rodriguez is to deal with that in her main event versus Mackenzie Dern. And to just pick her apart over the course of those 5 rounds.
Yeah, dude.
Like, she's so good, and she has such tremendous upside, and I'm glad that the UFC sees it, because I think she's fun to watch. I think the fans could get behind her, even though she doesn't speak much English yet. Because obviously the UFC is a very American-based market, but still, her fight style is just fun to watch. The way she walks people down and just leg kicks, body kicks, little teeps here and there. It's just, there's such a precision to it, and I love watching her fight. She's so talented, and
she's got a bright future, dude.
Yeah, it's gonna be
huge
interesting.
Win, literally a huge win for her.
How do you think she would fare against Rose, personally? Yeah,
I think she put the pressure on Rose early. Rose would have to she'll adjust and whatnot.
And she's good at that. She is good at that.
Really good at that, and. Apart from there, she'll probably just. I think you see a tie. I think it would
close
be a tale of 2 fights probably.
Yeah, one of those. That's not a bad take.
You just got the champ in trouble and all that, and then champ just comes out and.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting matchup. Because I think Marina probably has I don't even know though, because maybe she doesn't have better stand up. It's close on the feet, but on the ground, Rose is definitely better. But I think that the first couple rounds, like you said, might entail Marina just really pushing the pace.
Yeah, and that's literally just I guess an experience thing, because now you're talking 5-round championship fight. That's
and at least now she's been in 5-round fights. She's been in a 5-round fight too against Mackenzie Dern. And Mackenzie Dern is definitely a better grappler than Rose Namajunas. So I mean that's an interesting fight. But anyway, she might have to fight Carla Esparza though. If Carla were to beat Rose, and that was a good fight the first time they fought. I'm pretty sure that's her only loss, Marina Rodriguez, and it was a split decision that I personally thought she might have won, but it was, this fight was very, very close. But I don't see her skipping Carla for the shot, and so for now, I'm just left with that was a pretty decent performance. I mean, she made the adjustments, and that ultimately won her the fight, but. I don't know.
The best is perhaps yet to come.
Yeah, this wasn't her best performance. Yeah. I think we just leave it at that. And, it's good that she got the win because, I feel like she just deserves a title fight. She's earned it. She's beaten a lot of good people in that division. But,
yeah, that's what a fighter like Jan's going to do. They're going to back you into the corners. How are you going to respond?
Yeah, that proves that she has, that championship grit, to get through adversity like that, because we were talking about, that first round was a rough round for her. She was getting hit a lot in that first round, and she overcame it as the fight went on, and that just speaks to how much heart she has and just how talented she is to be able to make those adjustments on the fly. But just great fight. I thought that should have been fight of the night. They gave it to Colby and Masvidal, which I'm not mad at, but I thought that was a great fight in itself. But on to another prelim fight. This is more of a performance that I was impressed by, but Umar Nurmagomedov just easily getting rid of Brian Kelleher. And Brian Kelleher, to his credit, he didn't fight scared. He came out guns blazing, like Moicano.
That's what I was going to mention, too. Brian Kelleher actually, looked good, coming out. Okay, he might actually be able to hang around here with Umar, and then...
Yeah.
we just get to, okay, here's what...
He tried to grapple him, and I think that's where...
We're up against the cage. Umar's doesn't fully have Brian Kelleher's back, but he's gonna get his back and he's gonna submit him, and that's exactly
the way he
what
got the
happened.
hooks in the end was incredible. But even before that, like Kelleher goes in for the takedown, and you think maybe his philosophy is like maybe the best defense is a good offense, but then obviously Umar is almost he literally just like he's there, he takes a breath, easily just switches the position and takes him down, and then obviously like you said, immediately just takes the back.
I would never want to wrestle with those Dagestan boys.
Yeah, man. Just like even the way that he got the submission, like right when he got his arm under Kelleher's neck, he was tapping. Like it was that quick. That's incredible, man. Like, and Kelleher, you know, yeah, he's won some, lost some, but he's no slouch, man. He's a crafty vet. You know,
he showed it in that fight.
Exactly. Yeah, he didn't fight him scared. All these guys like who usually fight these great wrestlers, sometimes they fight them scared, and they fight weary to be taken down. You know, Brian Kelleher gave it his best shot, that's for sure. But ultimately, Umar is he's a great grappler, and he proved it. And I don't really know what I think yet of like where you want to go with him, but because like I think maybe he is capable of doing well against some of those upper echelon guys, but at the same time he's still really young, hasn't had too many fights in the UFC. I think maybe still a slow build might be smart for him, and it just builds his name over time, which will make it more fun when he gets into that top 15. But for now, I think maybe slow track him. What are your thoughts on that?
Probably depends on like how these next fights go for him. Like, you know, his next fight, if he's gonna go ahead and, I mean, depending on who it is, of course, but if he goes and gets another finish, then I think in that case, like, they're probably gonna fast track him.
And they might. They're known for doing that sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you think he's capable of holding up with those top 15 guys right now? No.
Not
Not sold yet.
Maybe a few of them, but there's like, you know, I think I still want to see a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, he's a young guy.
Yeah.
I think there's
exactly
got all the time.
Yeah, that's not like it's nothing against him. It's just
it's not even saying that he doesn't deserve it. Like it's just like you can build him. I think, and I think that's the smart thing to do.
Yeah,
I think.
But for me, it's one of those
good.
like, for me, it's one of those like, all right, if the next opponent that they give him and he finishes that guy too, then that's probably when they're gonna be like, okay, well now this guy's a real deal.
For real. Yeah.
His last name's Nurmagomedov. Like,
let's something.
Let's
But honestly though, onto a fight that like involving the Nurmagomedov family, same corner, the Tagir versus Tim Elliott fight. That was a complete 180 pretty much of what we were just talking about.
I really enjoyed
I was
that
shocked
one.
by that. That was pretty awesome, watching Tim Elliott do that to him. Tim Elliott started that fight, crazy footwork. You could always see in a Tim Elliott fight, and he was taking him down, which was impressive to me. Just, what did you think of that fight? You just said you enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, that was probably right there with Kobe and Masvidal. Was like one of my favorite fights of the night. Just Tim Elliott, bro, like just the style, like the unique style. It's like. Yeah, literally his social media name I saw, like awkward MMA. Like this literally like what it is, like the way he's just gonna approach like a guy, whether it's just walking him down or like anything like that. And then you just saw it with
his herky-jerky movements are so funny to me. Like he's like almost like Dominic Cruz, the way he like bounces around with his footwork. And like I said, taking a guy like that down who's supposedly like this hot. Well, then again, like Tim Elliott before the fight, he was like, yeah, he's got 2 wins in the UFC, and neither of them are really wins because they're like close wins. I'm pretty sure. So
he just looked like inspired in that way. Like he had
confident.
something to prove.
Looked very confident, and I think that did a lot, especially early on. I mean, it
definitely
went away from him a little bit at the end, like because that was a tough round, that round 3, because Tagir got his back and he had it for a little bit, but Tim Elliott, like we were saying, crafty vet.
Yeah, he's also like I fought Demetrius Johnson when he was in his prime.
That's true. That's true. Like, he had some nice scrambles against him too, and like even in that fight, like I was talking about Colby, the mat wrestling is just incredible. Like when he's in those scrambles, it's almost impossible to just outmatch the guy. Like it's just incredible, and I think it also.
And then this is what I'm talking about. Like this slips and like transitions and whatnot into for Elliott during this fight. whether to like get out of a hold or to just
like when he would slip up, like you were just like he would slip up sometimes and like get in bad positions, but then immediately switch it. It's just incredible, especially against a guy who's getting coached by some of the best wrestlers on this planet.
Just makes them like, wow, like that was not what I was expecting, and that's how I can just like know, like like this guy, like this fight, like clearly, like this means a lot to him in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I think another thing that's worth noting for this fight too is just how good of a coach James Krause is. Like, to be able to give Tim Elliott the game plan that he gave him, and for Tim to just execute it to perfection, it just shows how locked in they both are with each other. And like, you don't hear enough about how good of a coach James Krause is. Like, because obviously people know him for how much of a badass he is in the octagon. Mm-hmm. Remember when, I think it was, UFC 248, he took the fight on, like, a day's notice. Like, the guy's just a savage. Got to meet him in Vegas. Coolest dude, man. Sick. I got to tell him how much of a badass he is, and, he was a cool guy. But, anyway, just back to his coaching. I just think that the way that his, his proteges, or whatever you want to call it, the way that they respond to him is just incredible to me. Like, he tells them something and they go out there and do it. And you don't really see that with a lot of coaches. Like, you only see it with those power camps like ATT and Jackson Wink. It's just, I thought that was incredible, honestly. Yeah, Tim Elliott really put on a show to start off. Well, it wasn't to start off, but it was in the early prelims,
You can't have those paper coaches, You need a guy that's like generally going to push you and mold you into the best fighter that you can be.
Yeah, I hear a lot of good things about James Krause coaching, man. Like, even from Laura Sanko, who knows him well. You got like all these other people. I think Anthony Smith knows him pretty well. Grant Dawson. Like, it's just amazing. I think you're going to see over time, especially even with Tim Elliott, with this seeming like this crazy resurgence. He's been fighting really well lately.
Yeah, now it's like...
This is he beat a hyped up prospect. Like, a lot of people were sleeping on Tim Elliott, and like, I didn't really have an opinion on this fight as much because like I like Tim Elliott though. I kind of like thought that Tagir was a bit unproven, so I was like, I don't really know how good he is. Like, he might go out there and destroy Tim Elliott, or I don't know. And then it ended up playing out the way it played out. But what did you think going into this fight, if anything?
I was thinking like. I kind of alluded to it before, but I kind of believed in like, okay, like, being coached up by Khabib and all that, like another one of these Russian guys coming in, because that's what they're just looking to just take over the entire fight scene. It's like, okay, like, I haven't seen him much about him, but
figure he's just one of those guys.
Tim Elliott's like, not a bad guy to give him, Show him like this guy who's been around for a little bit now.
Exactly. Like, if you're gonna hype someone up like that, it's nice to like give them those like progressive steps. And I think Tim Elliott is like one of those guys who's a crafty vet, like we were talking about, and I think it's just smart.
Long story short, like, I wasn't expecting that. Like,
I figured it could be maybe close, but I didn't think Tim Elliott was gonna come out there and have as much success as he did immediately. That was just incredible. And like you said before, like with his just taking him down over
the
and over.
Reversals and
sweeps and all that. It's just man, just great performance by Tim Elliott. Even with like the bad third round, still just so impressed by that. I was blown away.
That's something to see for sure.
That gave me a lot of energy, to continue the night.
I enjoyed that fight for sure.
But another good fight that provided me some negative energy. Because of the outcome, I'll preface this by saying my fantasy lineup did not do too well. It's because I guess maybe I could talk a little bit about the first fight of the night. I don't want to butcher his last name, but he's a Polish fighter, and he was fighting Dustin Jacoby, and I had seen this Polish man knock out so many people with these like crazy liver shots, and I was like, he might be able to get a nice finish here. I might be able to get some points. Not the case. Lost a lackluster decision to Dustin Jacoby, so already a bad start. And then getting into the fight I want to get into, Jalen Turner versus Jamie Mullarkey. I picked Jamie Mullarkey solely because I figured that Jalen Turner looked a little rough on the scale. I was dead wrong. Did not go well for me. I mean, I was right about a lot of the other fights on this card, like Colby, RDA. I figured Bryce Mitchell was probably going to do what he did. But this one I was way off, and it cost me on fantasy. It was pretty hard to watch Jamie Mullarkey just get finished the way he did, but I think it's just a testament to how good Jalen Turner is. You could tell that Mullarkey's game plan was just to come in and pressure him and
that's exactly like how he came out. Like, whereas Jalen Turner, he's calm, composed, like, you know, whatever he's taking what Mullarkey's giving him essentially.
Yeah, because Mullarkey was just blitzing in, trying to make it a dogfight, which was probably a smart decision considering the huge reach advantage that Jalen Turner has, and like he's good at using it too.
Yeah,
but man, like, the composure, like you just said, like, they hit him with all those counters as he's coming in, and like, you know, you got to think about it from like a first person perspective. Like, when someone's blitzing you the way that Jamie Mullarkey was blitzing him, and to hit him with counters basically every time that he would come in like that, it's just outstanding. Like, he fought well in the first round, and then obviously in the second round it didn't take him long to have that brutal finish. Just one-sided. I'm not sleeping on Jalen Turner anymore, man. That just showed me how good he really is.
Yeah, dude, he showed a lot of like maturity in that fight, I think. So
I think he's showing a lot of confidence now, and a lot more than he did in the past. But with lightweight, I don't. I never try and matchmake when someone's like outside of the top 15, just because the division is arguably the most stacked in the whole sport.
Yep.
And there's always a plethora of guys.
There's always somebody.
Yeah. Like, he's still like.
I'm definitely gonna be tuned in to his next fight though, because I was pretty impressed by that performance. Like, I don't know where you go next, but there, as I just said, there's no shortage of guys. But impressive performance, just a lot of power. Like I said, he's great at utilizing his reach, and like I said, I think the more confident he gets, the better he's going to be over time. And I'm done sleeping on him, especially considering he kind of screwed my fantasy lineup. I'm still mad about that, man, because besides those two fights, I did all right. Because after that, I had Colby, I had Kevin Holland, RDA, and Bryce Mitchell. And those guys all racked up the points, and I was just outside of like getting my money back, so I was a little heated. I didn't really see the Vegas lines for this. Was Mullarkey the favorite?
I don't really remember the lines, but I remember that I think Jalen Turner was like for the fantasy salary cap. I think Jalen was at like 8,000, and then Mullarkey was like 8,200.
Okay.
It might have been vice versa. It was pretty close.
Okay.
So clearly, like, DraftKings at least had them valued similarly, but what the odds are, I'm not sure. But I mean, if they were close, Jalen Turner definitely defied the odds that time and just destroyed Jamie Mullarkey. I was just very impressed by that performance. But trying to think if there's any more fights that I want to touch on. Maybe just one more, actually. Marina Moroz. Not too much to get into, like, in the sense of like what happened, because it was just like a one-sided type of fight, honestly, to me. The grappling, which was a theme throughout this whole card, honestly, just superior grappling, top control led to the submission, and obviously the crowd reacted amazingly to her post-fight speech with Joe Rogan. I thought that was cool too. He let her take the microphone and just speak.
So you want it? Like,
I could hear it. Like, that was cool. Like, you know, the fans gave her the love that she deserved for that win. You could tell that she was really emotional and it meant a lot to her, and that was just a feel-good moment.
Yeah.
And, like, I just enjoyed watching that fight. You feel the same way, I'm assuming.
Me too, of course.
Yeah, that was just... I just wanted to touch on that. Not much really to get into specifically, but I just enjoyed watching that. And I honestly just enjoyed watching this whole card. Like, most people, you know, casual fans, they don't really appreciate the grappling as much as some of the hardcore ones do, but if you're a casual fan, I'd say watch that card if you want to see what effective grappling looks like.
This card was all about the grapplers, all about the technique, groundwork, all that.
Yeah, I think it was showcased in a lot of positive ways.
The little things, yep.
Yeah, like, especially in the main event and the co-main event, like, you got guys like Colby and RDA who are, like, top of the heap, and they're showing you all these little movements of why, like, they're so much better on the ground than all these other people. And I think that wrestling and just grappling in general in MMA is just like such a good base, because like anybody could stand and strike and land like a lucky shot, but like even in the main event, you know, when someone just has that type of wrestling.
Not to say like obviously this is not. I was not to say obviously this is who Jorge Masvidal is.
Yeah. I'm not saying that. Like,
Jorge Masvidal is, you know,
but just
I mean, this guy's
grappling is just a whole nother thing in MMA. Like if you can't stop that, you might be in for a long night. And Masvidal had a long night. Moicano had a pretty long night. Edson Barboza. You know, it's just an ongoing theme.
Yeah,
you'll see that.
Like, if I don't finish this fight by this certain point, there's probably no coming back.
Yeah, I enjoyed it though. I mean, I thought it was a fun card, and I thought maybe like there weren't as many like close fun fights, but I thought there were a lot of awesome individual performances that were really fun to just watch as they were happening and to just talk about like we are right now. Like I think this card showed a lot of things about a lot of different fighters, and I just enjoyed learning more, as I always do.
Yep.
But,
great card, some DraftKings MMA, so hopefully all our DraftKings DFS players out there had a better night than old Rob over here. Profited well off a pretty damn good card.
Yeah, the night was not perfect, you know. I mean, losing some money on DraftKings, and then, you know, like I said, ESPN with the technical difficulties, and we went to UFC 272 Espanol. that was a fun time. I won't forget that. that was pretty funny. But yeah, I enjoyed watching that card. It was just fun. Like I said, the main event too. Like I was so hyped for that all week. Even though I thought Colby was going to do what he did, like him and Masvidal at the press conference leading up, it was just so entertaining. It hyped me up for the fight. I couldn't wait. And in my opinion, the card lived up to its expectations because it was pretty stacked, and all those fights were fun. I really enjoyed it, honestly.
Yeah, dude. You typically, when you get like a headliner for a pay-per-view that's not even a title fight, those are generally like because all those cards are more like, well, you know, there's a narrative probably to follow, a story or whatnot, like.
Yeah,
like
and then they also usually stack the card around it too, because it's not like a title fight where you could just bank on the belt. You have two stars who are not holding the belt, so you gotta like have a big card after that to get people to want to watch it sometimes. I mean, at least that's how I feel like they think about it.
Mm-hmm. And then obviously, like in the main event, like you're obviously taking two of the top fighters in all of UFC.
They're both stars too. Like
exactly.
they both know how to hype a fight.
They're looking to get back to the title scene, get a title shot.
Yeah, I love fights like that, non-title fight main events for pay-per-views. Like they don't do enough of them, man. And like maybe that's why that makes them so great. But I enjoyed this one. I thought it lived up to the hype. You did too?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement there.
Covington, Jorge Masvidal. 3 years in the making.
Yeah,
come on.
It's about time. That's what I'm saying. This is a long time.
The very second the fight was announced, it's like, finally.
Yes, thank you, MMA. Another inside joke. Maybe we'll get into that in another episode, but for now, I'll leave you guys wondering what I was just talking about there. But anyway, that was just a great card. It's fun to talk about it in this first ever episode of the Hurt Handbook. You know, we had some roadblocks tonight that you guys are not going to see, but I thought that was a great card, and it was fun to talk about it with you, man.
It's a great that's a great first episode. That's a great card to open up first episode to, for sure.
Yeah, and be sure, guys, to like and subscribe. Turn on those notifications so you never miss an episode of either of our podcasts. And with that being said, definitely stay tuned on Friday for the Hurt Sportsbook, the first ever Hurt Sportsbook, on Thiago Santos versus Magomed Ankalaev and that whole card. I'm sure you're really excited to get that started, Tiz.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's going to be fun. We can't wait to get to it, and we hope you guys enjoyed the first episode. Peace, nerds and virgins.